The door blew in at dawn near Las Cruces. Agents expected a stash house. They walked into a weapons depot. Tripwires in Anthony, Texas. Ambushes in Laredo and Arizona. Each raid sparked a harder counter, like an insurgency entrenched behind ordinary addresses. This wasn't border spillover. It was an interior network. 612 pounds of meth, 41 pounds of fentanyl, 9 modified vehicles, 2 mobile stash vans, and migrants held like inventory. Keep watching for the turn, when the question shifted from arrests to dismantlement, and why only a joint multi-state task force could pull the thread. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. They moved like a unit that trained for silence. The violence didn't sprawl, it ticked. Times, locations, outcomes. No warning shots, no stray rounds, no bodies left to send a message. Why did it read like a military log? Because every action was tied to a function. Remove a leak, secure a route, clear a debt. Over 18 months, 27 targeted executions aligned with disputes on smuggling corridors and money trails. Cameras went dark before the strikes. Entry points stayed under a minute. Vehicles pulled away without a tire chirp. When crews folded, chatter didn't spike. It went flat. Conventional raids didn't land on piles of cash and chaos. They kept turning up engineered solutions. Modified vehicles built with welded voids under cargo floors, mobile stash vans parked in quiet cul-de-sacs, routes that skipped the obvious fence lines and threaded through commuter arteries, mall lots, and school hour gaps. Loads moved when neighborhoods slept or when they were most distracted. Trash pickup mornings, evening delivery rushes, Saturday youth sports traffic. You couldn't spot the line by looking at a map. You had to read the city's daily rhythm. The pipeline pushed weight without spectacle. 612 pounds of meth and 41 pounds of high-purity fentanyl traveled in batches that looked small on the road and large on a seizure sheet. Parcels were split across vehicles, drop points staggered by hours, and couriers rotated so no plate repeated within a week on any given corridor. Drivers carried 2 phones, one for dead routes, one for live. Instructions arrived as one-way bursts. No threaded text to scrape, no calls longer than 20 seconds. If a stash unit felt heat, the load didn't sprint. It sank into a standby address with power, a lawn service, and a refrigerator that kept buzzing. Migrants weren't just passengers. They functioned as currency. Each person was photographed, cataloged, and assigned a debt value tied to the route stage. That ledger determined who moved first after a loss. If a seizure hit a corridor, the network shifted people like assets. Advance a group to offset the shortfall, hold another to guarantee payment, swap a driver's fee by releasing a relative. Loads traveled with leverage. Protection came from the threat of what waited at the next stop if money didn't land. 9 transport vehicles mattered because each carried the same kind of math. Welded voids where a dog hit air instead of odor. VINs swapped to match clean titles and insurance. Electrical systems reworked so a camera or sensor could be killed from a steering column switch. This wasn't chaos. It was discipline on wheels. One late-night hit captured the method. Cameras cut on the block. 2 knocks at a back door. 3 shots. No shouting. No hurried footsteps. A pair of figures stepped out, slid into a waiting sedan, and left by the second exit they'd checked earlier in the day. The scene held for 90 seconds. Then life crept back. Porch lights flicked on, and nothing obvious tied back to the hit team. Small unit tactics, applied to a neighborhood like it was a training range. Research points to why the addresses stayed invisible. Ordinary homes pegged to HOA rules blend when the grass is the right length. The trash bins face the street on schedule, and delivery vans stop often enough to look normal. Power usage sits just under the alert threshold. The mailbox never overflows. You don't see a stash house. You see a resident who pays on time. Street busts started to feel like whack-a-mole because they were. Officers hit a runner, and the network shifted 2 blocks, not 2 states. If the surface looked surgical, The interior looked industrial. Hidden detention sites where people were held like inventory. How do you find a prison that looks like a rental? You start with what doesn't belong. Neighbors who never saw faces, only vans that parked nose in. Blinds that stayed tilted the same way for weeks. A front door with scuffs but no visitors. When patrols circled these blocks, the activity always matched the clock. Landscaping on HOA days, trash bins rolled out on schedule, package drops signed by a gloved hand. Nothing loud, but nothing casual either. The pattern said people lived there. The details said they didn't. Teams in El Paso, Sunland Park, and Las Cruces kicked in on drug warrants and found something colder. Ledger sheets aligned with room counts. Ducted closets that carried air but erased sound. Bolt rings sunk into concrete under cheap carpet squares. In 3 addresses, over 50 migrants stood in a row, tagged and silent. The rooms weren't messy or frantic. They were cataloged, food stacked by portion, blankets folded by count, locks keyed to a chart taped behind a water heater. Agents expected powder and cash. They found an intake system. The tension spiked fast. In Anthony, Texas, a door flagged open, then tugged the wrong way and armed a tripwire. A team near Las Cruces rolled into a rental at dawn, expecting a stash and landing in a weapons depot with AR lowers, short barrel uppers, loaded magazines, and a bag of plate carriers that fit only one size. After each hit, retaliation came on roads hours away. Convoy-style ambushes in Laredo and a rural stretch in Arizona tried to box in unmarked SUVs. Each raid felt like a move on a chessboard, and every counter hit a piece you thought was safe. The model inside these houses ran like a warehouse. Each person carried a photo tag, a debt value, and a route stage. That status dictated motion. If a seizure clipped a load, the network didn't eat the loss. It moved people. Advance 3 to settle part of the debt. Stall 5 until a family wires the balance. Redeploy a paid tag to cover a driver's missing fee. The ledger turned human beings into spread risk, a balance sheet that absorbed hits without slowing the route. Ordinary addresses worked because every external signal ran normal. The grass was cut to the HOA rulebook. Shrubs trimmed once a month, edging sharp before weekend patrols. Trash days hit on time. Recycling bins filled with flattened Amazon boxes. Water and power sat just below the spike line. Enough for lights, fans, and a fridge. Not enough to wake a utility audit. Mail never piled. A dog barked next door, not inside. Everything calm at a glance, which kept eyes moving down the street. One raid proved the network watched. Agents breached a Sunland Park rental and walked out 20 minutes later with 12 migrants, 3 ledgers, and 2 phones. 4 hours after the scene cleared, 2 towns away, a convoy of 3 vehicles boxed a federal SUV near a highway on-ramp. One car braked hard in front. A second pinned the left lane. The third rolled slow from the shoulder. Armor and a quick push through the median kept the team moving, but the timing told the story. Pull a thread here, get hit there. Counter moves grew teeth. Drones orbited road junctions after warrants. License plate readers flagged repeat patterns at cul-de-sacs and shopping center exits. Analysts built pattern-of-life files from delivery scans, school traffic, and night shift commutes to stitch together feeder routes. The interior model pushed risk off the fence line and into neighborhoods, stretching local police past capacity. Deconfliction became survival. Shared channels, common maps, and synchronized callouts to avoid blue-on-blue and keep pressure pointed one way. The detention sites reset the frame. This was not a smuggling line. It was an embedded logistics system running inside community routines. When a network behaves like an insurgency, arrests aren't enough. You need one playbook and pressure that lands everywhere at once. The pivot wasn't about more agents. It was about one brain across many badges. A joint cell linked New Mexico and Texas, FBI, ICE, DHS, ATF, and Border Patrol, sharing feeds, warrants, and targets in real time. Fragmented hits had drawn ambushes because the network could reroute. They built a 3-front plan, drones and tags to shut routes, forensic finance to choke cash and crypto, and armored escorts with doubled patrols to harden teams. Synchronized warrants squeeze choices. Shift a van, lose a banker, move a house, burn a corridor. Mapping cash couriers to tripwires exposed payroll order. One sweep seized 2 vans and froze shell accounts mid-ambush.